I was afraid I wasn't going to wake up. I was thinking that at my follow-up, I was going to ask, but I couldn't bring myself to ask because maybe I didn't want to know the answer. Hi everyone, how are you? Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's 8:15 at night. It is a Saturday night, and I wasn't going to film, but even though I'm going to take this off in just a little bit as soon as I'm done, I want to film. I want to sit down and talk to you guys. Actually, I want to talk to you about the surgery I had. Not so much about the surgery itself, but what I experienced. And I don't know if any of you have actually gone through. I said actually again. Be prepared, my friends, be prepared. It was my first time being intubated and being put out completely, and it was definitely an interesting experience. I obviously get a couple of boxes, so I have a bit of makeup, and I figured I might want to try some of it. It's been sitting in a bag for me to do one of these, and I just don't feel well most of the time, so, you know, that's why I haven't. I don't have everything new, but we're going to see what I have, what I can use, etc. The first thing I have is from Burkie, which is a very expensive company, and this is their Silk Protein Primer. I want to say it has a floral smell, but I smell something a little citrusy also. I don't know. Let's see what happens. It feels like a moisturizer going on, kind of, sort of. It's supposed to be an airy, cushioning primer. Don't ask me what that means. That's supposed to help your makeup stay in place all day long. Isn't that the point of most primers? You know? Let's see. Has a bit of a tack to it. I do not have a new foundation, but I think I want to go through some of my foundations and see which ones I wanted to clutter. Alright, I think I'm on the fence about this one, which is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Adjusting Foundation. I used, I'd say a quarter of the bottle, so I may have liked it, but it has been a while, and I don't know if I still do. I don't even know if the color is going to match, but we're going to find out. Yeah, I think it's a decent match. Everything is always yellow on me. I'd say this is the least yellow that I'm experiencing currently. The name of this brush is worn off, so I don't know what it is, but we're going to use it because it's clean. So, if you don't know, I had back surgery, and I do have to have surgery on my discs in my neck, but this wasn't the surgery. I actually had a fatty tumor, benign, that was by my spine and decided to entangle itself around my muscles and my nerves, and it was impinging on the nerves that were close to my spine and causing me a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. Now, if I say some things, I don't want it to come off looking for pity or sympathy or anything like that. And I always preface that because sometimes when people talk about their experience about things, it may seem that I may want people to feel sorry for me. And I really don't. You know, this really is pretty good. My lighting's not that great, but right now it's looking pretty good. So the thing about it was, I can say that this is my first time having any type of medical diagnosis or procedure being completely alone. I know a lot of people alone, a lot of people deal with all of this stuff, but this is just my experience with it. I'm also using the Tynt Tinted Brightening Eye Cream, which I really like as like my last step. I should have actually put this on before I did my foundation. Completely hydrating enough, but I do like its slight color correcting, and it's great after your other eye creams. Now, even though that did do some color correcting, I have really been enjoying this Lune and Aster under eye corrector that I actually got from Influencer. I got this, a face primer. I forgot what else. The face primer I'm on the fence about, but this is a lovely under eye corrector because it does add some hydration, and the peachy color is absolutely perfect for me. Lune and Aster is Blue Mercuri's in-house brand. I don't know if you knew that or not. So the surgery was in the city. which is the best place to, in my opinion, to have a surgery like this, because it was at one of the major hospitals and I felt confident in having it there. I felt very confident in my doctor as well. Now, the thing is, I don't drive in the city. It gives me a complete panic attack to even have to attempt to drive in the city. The parking can be a minimum of $50 and up, and I really didn't want to deal with that either. I also couldn't drive myself because, here's the thing, I was not allowed to go home alone. And I will explain how I actually got myself home. But I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. So the night before, again, anything that I've had previously, for the last 10 years, I had my parents. And before that, I was in relationships, etc. So I always had somebody to bounce things off of and talk about things. I also had gotten this KVD Good Apple concealer. Have not tried it. Tested the color on my hand, but that was it. I really like the packaging. I don't know what the purpose of this little nub here is on the top. It's not a squeezy thing. It's actually a doe foot applicator, so I just found that interesting. It's a very unique applicator. You can see it's completely on an angle like that. I did get it in medium 131, and it's a little yellow, but it seems to, match my skin tone, which is nice. I'm going to try it on all the spots. Why not? So the night before, I was so afraid that I was not going to wake up on time. So believe it or not, I had worked the day before. I think I had my surgery on a Wednesday. Now, my doctor prepared me, she kind of told me what to expect, and it's so funny, she goes, you will have a scar. I was like, obviously I'm gonna have a scar, I'm having surgery. I just thought that was kind of a funny thing, but I figured I would just be out for a couple of days, and I would be able to handle everything. Now again, I live alone. I have no family. I know it was going to be difficult, but I was like, you know what, I'll be fine. It should not be a problem. So what I was getting into was that I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning, so I was going to leave my house at 4:30. So I had to take an Uber because I didn't have anybody to take me. So I ordered the Uber the night before, and that was expensive as all hell, so that was a lot of fun. So my biggest fear, I keep getting into it and then getting distracted, I was afraid I wasn't going to wake up. And I was going to miss my surgery or not be there on time. And I was freaking out about it. So I stayed up all night. I worked in the morning. I get up very early in the morning, about 5 or 5:30. I was up all day and I did not go to sleep. I laid in bed, but I was terrified of not getting up. I got in one of my boxes or something, this Rachel Couture translucent setting powder. So I'm going to try this. It looks to be a little bit on the yellow side, which doesn't really bother me too much. It's almost like a banana powder color. I'm going to use my, oh my goodness, what is this ridiculously expensive brush? This is the one with the bunny on it. Can't remember the brand. I'm going to try to link everything below. I use Magic Links, which means I do make a small commission if you shop through those links. Well, I don't know how translucent this is because obviously I have very light skin and it's kind of showing up on my skin, so I don't know how this would be on a darker skin tone. It's definitely mattifying my face, but I don't think it's making me look cakey or anything. Now, do I want to torture myself and use a liquid blush? Because I have two of the Ciate London Dewy blushes, but I also have this Kaleido Cosmetics Skin Illuminate palette. Let's see, is this just a highlighter? These blushes are all kind of shiny. You know what? Again, I'm not going anywhere. Let's see how I like these dewy blushes from Ciate. Oh, you know what's interesting? One of them, the baby, is just a cream blush, and this one is a dewy blush. Let's see. Oh my. Oh, okay, could be sheer. Like the color, though. This one isn't coconut. Don't get the name, but that's alright. This little baby dewy blush, though, the cream blush, the matte blush, whatever it is, velvet blush. The Velvet Skin blush is in Cheeky, and I think that was that really bright Barbie pink, which that particular tone, this particular tone, just, I mean, it doesn't look good on my skin tone. That's insane. We're going to go with this one now. Now I want to apply it. Tap it on my hand, and 1, 2, Beauty Blender. Okay, all that did was take off my makeup. Let's try a brush. It's almost like greasy. That's kind of the word. I mean, guess it's really dewy, but it's also taking off my foundation. I'm going to mix these two together and see what happens, because I like to live dangerously. As I said, so I didn't go to sleep. I stayed up all night. I was like dizzy and off balance, and just like, you know, for me, not getting sleep is a really, I'm going to say dangerous, but I don't function. Luckily, the ride down to the city was very calm, because it was, you know, we left at 4:30 in the morning, and there was no traffic at that point, so it was nice. It was a nice quiet ride. I was one of the first people to check in, because I'm one of those people, I don't like to be late. Like, I either have to be on time or really, really early, and I did get there slightly early. So my surgery was set for, I think, was it 7:15 or 7:30? By the way, the blush still remains just a little bit tacky, just so you know. So I get up there and I'm checking in, and they're asking for all of your information and an emergency contact, and I went, I don't have one of those. She also asked, well, you know, is there anybody who you would like to contact or keep up to date about your surgery? And I'm like, no one would really care. No one, I don't have anybody to update. You want to update my cats? You know what I mean? That was one of my first revelations, honestly, as I was sitting there when she asked me those things. It's like, I don't have anybody to put down. Thankfully, one of my coworkers was so kind to offer to pick me up. I mean, it's inconvenience out of the way. It's a hassle, but the fact that she offered to do that for me really meant a lot to me, and I am forever grateful to her, because I don't like asking for help, and it's difficult for me to accept help at the same time. I do have a new highlighter. It was a stick highlighter, Pley X Cobra Kai. It's late, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I'm also using a pencil from Lune and Aster, the eyebrow pencil. This is really, really nice. It is a roll up. There is no cover. It does have a spoolie on the other end. So she checks me in, and again, I'm just exhausted, and I have a lot of anxiety about it. I mean, who wouldn't, you know? You don't know what to expect when you're going to surgery. You know, anytime you go under and you have anesthesia, I mean, you really don't know what could happen. Chances are everything's going to be fine, but you just don't know. So as I'm sitting there, it's a very large area. Like in the check-in, once you go past the check-in, it's kind of like maybe, I don't know, 10-foot, 12-foot wide corridor. It goes all the way down. There's tons of seats, and most of them were empty, so I just found, you know, a little bench by myself, you know, sitting there just on my phone, trying to, you know, wait for my turn to come. I didn't wind up getting called in until like 7:15, 7:20. I wasn't even called in to get prepped for surgery. So as I'm sitting there, more and more people are coming in. I didn't realize how many people would be having surgery that day. It was so surprising to me. The one thing that I noticed as everybody was coming in, there was, as they would come away from reception, there would be one person with the wristband on, indicating that they were the patient, and then there were other people with them. And that's just it. There were other people with them. Some had one, some had their whole family, and as they would sit down, you know, I was the only person that I noticed that was sitting there by themselves. Everybody had somebody with them. And that was a hard realization. You know, you're sitting there and all these scenarios are going through your mind about the surgery. And of course I was sitting there wondering, what kind of surgery are they having? Are they going to be okay? I knew that I was going to be okay because I knew what I had was benign. But I'm like, wondering how their families are feeling and how they're feeling and how their families are comforting them. And they're all sitting there and they're talking, and some are laughing, some are sober. I meant to say somber, which again made me think, like, you know, I wonder what they're going through. And I was concerned for them and I was praying for them. And I won't say people were staring at me, because they weren't staring at me, but people are curious and everyone's looking at each other, and they're probably wondering, or maybe they weren't. Maybe I'm giving myself too much, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, maybe I'm thinking about myself being too important. You know what I mean? So it could have been that nobody was thinking anything at all. But I know I was thinking some things and feeling a certain kind of way. And it was a very odd feeling to be going into surgery and saying, wow, there's not going to be anybody waiting for me when I come out. There's not going to be anybody concerned about how my surgery went when I come out. And I started writing down some thoughts while I was sitting there on my phone, like on my my note app. I just wanted to run through some things, and I was thinking about my parents would have been there in a heartbeat. My sisters would have been there like in a heartbeat. And you know, it just drove home the entire year that I've had, basically. I am going to talk about this palette. I finally got myself an Adept palette. I had never tried the brand before. They were having a 50% off sale on several items, and I actually picked up the Amunet palette. Their packaging, first of all, let me show the box it came in. It came in this box with the branding on it, and look at the packaging, how secure it was. It has its own little seat basically in here of foam to make sure that nothing happened to it. The outside packaging was covered in like that plastic wrap. This is, I mean, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous packaging. I've seen Adept. They are on the price side. They're an indie brand, but I was so impressed. This is raised. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, opening this up, I think I was a little surprised, and that's not anything to do with the company, but I think the colors were just not what I was expecting. Again, all on me. They're just some cooler tones that don't necessarily look good on me, but I've tried this a few times, and their metallics and their duochromes are next level. I was so completely impressed. So this color story is a little bit bold. I can't do too many neutral looks with it. I can go a little bit simple because there are some more natural colors. There is absolutely nothing tame about these metallics and duochromes. They're absolutely freaking stunning. I'm going to start with color Seth, which is right here. So the other thing I noticed, as people were getting called in, of course, you know, their family was hugging and kissing them and wishing them well and saying, I'll be here for you when you get out. You know, the typical thing. So I get called in, and I'm very self-conscious about a lot of things. And of course, you know, they give you the hospital gown and the hairnet to put on. The surgery was on my, like, mid-back, so I thought I could keep my underwear on. They told me I couldn't. I was like, okay. I wasn't really happy about that, but they had these, it looked like gauze. They were stretchy underwear, generic for everybody, that you could wear. I was like, yeah, so they were like boy shorts, and at least I felt like a little bit more comfortable. Using my number 14 refer brush, and that's really light, so I think I'm gonna go into, I think that says Thoth. I don't know. I'm sitting there, and now, you know, I'm anxious. They do put the IV in and get you hooked up. Now, oh my goodness, they had to put the IV here. I don't mind needles. They don't really bother me. But I have to tell you, putting the IV mid-arm hurt like there was no tomorrow. Never had one there before. My anxiety was like now building and building. I'm hungry as hell. You can't eat anything for hours. Why the heck not? I am going to... I know I should have researched these names, but this is PTAH. I'll make a fool out of myself. It's okay. And then the doctor comes in to talk to me, and she doesn't spend too much time with me. Lots of people are in and out. Now I want to bring up the underwear thing a little bit later, and you'll understand why. Anesthesiologist finally comes in to talk to me. Now they haven't given me anything to calm me down yet. I'm still not. I told them how nervous I was about being intubated. Because I am a singer, I worry about my vocal cords. You know, you can damage your vocal cords if they're not careful. And he says, it's okay, I got the best person next to me. So I guess he was an intern, so the head of anesthesiology was also there, who was going to be, you know, supervising him. So he talked to me as well and told me not to be worried, everything was going to be fine. They had given me those socks, you know, with the little grippy things on the bottom, but because of my neuropathy, I cannot walk barefoot. It's unbelievably painful. So they had to put me in a wheelchair, which I wasn't really thrilled about, but, you know. So I had never seen an operating room before. So they wheeled me in, and like they just had me sitting next to the operating table, and now the anxiety is really starting to kick up, let me tell you. Must have had this look of pure terror on my face. I mean, I can just imagine, because I'm not saying anything and I'm just looking around, and it was weird. Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce these. I'm taking this dark chocolate brown. Finally, they asked me to get onto the table. At that point, no one's really talking to me. They're going about setting up everything, and I'm just laying there on the table, like looking around, wringing my hands together, and feeling... It's really hard to describe exactly what I was feeling. Okay, I had to stop for a few minutes because I had to pee, and I had to clear my memory card. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. So I'm pretty sure, I think, that I was talking about, oh yeah, when I was in the operating room. So the last thing I remember was that the anesthesiologist saying, I'm going to give you something to just relax you. I couldn't see him because, again, I was laying flat and like he was to the side of me. But I felt something injected. I remember it burning as it going in, and I was looking up at the lights and saying, okay, maybe I'm going to relax now. I don't know how long it took, but that was the last thing that I remember. These mats really, really do go on beautifully. This is the first time I'm using the purple. But I want to put this brown, I put on my lower lash line, but I want to put it in my crease. No, maybe? No, just on the end. So, the next thing I do remember was opening my eyes, and I remember my throat was killing me, and I remember how dry my mouth was, and I was, I guess, in the recovery room, but there was like nobody around me. There was no nurse around me, nothing. I just kind of opened my eyes, I'm looking around, trying to figure out where I was, when it was. I've been under anesthesia, but not when you're intubated, like totally out like that. I don't know what kind of anesthesia they use, but I woke up very disoriented, not knowing where I was or anything. And then, I don't know how long it was, a couple of minutes, I guess, but a nurse came in and, you know, I remember, I think she asked me if I was in pain, and I said yes, so she gave me, I don't know what she gave me, but she gave me something for some pain. And I kind of remember just like closing my eyes again and going back to sleep. I don't know how long it was before I woke up again. The surgery was a little bit over 2.5 hours. I had all of my stuff in like a bag, and I grabbed my phone, and I think it was 11:30 at that point. I do remember telling her I was thirsty, so she got me a little juice box. And I remember squeezing the juice box, and I remember going all over the place, and for some reason I found that extremely funny. Didn't wind up leaving the hospital until 4:30, and that was way later than I thought it was going to be. I really thought I was going to be in and out of there fairly quickly. But one of the things, the complications that I had was oxygen was, I think, at around 86, and they needed it to be 90, I think 92 or above. So they wound up giving me one of those, you have to, instead of blowing into it to make the bowl rise, you have to breathe in to make the bowl rise. And you're supposed to do like 10 of those. And so they wound up making me do that for a little bit to get my oxygen levels back up. Oh, here's the part that I wanted to mention. And this still freaks me out. So if somebody can explain it to me, if they have any experience, because I couldn't ask. I was thinking that at my follow-up, I was going to ask, but I couldn't bring myself to ask because maybe I didn't want to know the answer. I'm going to use this pretty purple. I'm going to put that on my lid. Oh, I mean, look at that. Are you kidding? And these are so smooth that they're not chunky. They're just, the texture of them is spectacular. Okay, so when I woke up, the one thing that I noticed was I no longer had my underwear on. And let me tell you, I've been thinking about that since I had the surgery, which was over, let's see, oh my goodness, it was a month and a half ago. I have to put this really cool green on the inner part. And people are like, well, why didn't you just ask? I'm like, I don't think you understand, like, the weirdness. Like, you go in with your underwear on, like, why didn't I have my underwear on when I woke up? It's not like I was wearing my own underwear. I had on those hospital things. They didn't need to take off my underwear. I hope. I mean, I've heard, you know, that whole horror thing where they do examinations on women when they're unconscious in the operating room, and that was the first thing that went through my mind. And I'm telling you, I'm still haunted by it. So if anybody has some insight into why that occurs, please do share. I'm going to take this one, which is one I can actually read. It says Hathor. This is the duochrome one. I'm going to put that right in the center. Oh my goodness. So I can say one thing, that once I woke up, then the reality hit in again, like, there's nobody waiting to come see me. Like, my curtain wasn't closed, so I could see the other patients if they had their curtains open. And all of the family members were coming in, the family members that were waiting for them. I have this silver liner from Lovecraft and Beauty. Do I want to use it? Doesn't matter. Well, that's pretty. Actually, really kind of pretty. This is from Wander Beauty, I think it says. It's a liner, but it's acting a little funky. Like it splurts all over the place when I pull it open. Oh, look at that. Isn't that crazy? They finally got my oxygen levels to where they needed to be. And so they were getting ready to discharge me. I said by the time, now it's like, you know, close to 4:30. And I just wanted to go home. I'm so grateful to my coworker for offering to come pick me up. And she was waiting outside for quite some time because they texted her and, you know, told her that, you know, she could come and pick me up. Poor thing was waiting for a while before she, you know, I actually got released. Put you in a wheelchair and wheel you out. And in the wheelchair, I was getting so nauseated. Remember, I hadn't eaten. I had to take more pain medication. And oh my goodness, it was not a pleasant ride. And then getting in the car is now, even though I took that extra pain medication, the pain is starting to kick in. I had this big bandage on my back. I looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was really, really funny, actually. Let me put on this highlighter. Let me try my finger and see what happens. Kind of pretty with your finger. Not your finger, my finger. On the subtle side, but I like it. I think I would actually use this. I said actually again, somebody count. I think I would probably use this all over my face as well. So my lovely friend takes me home, and all I wanted to do was like go to sleep. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm done. I'm exhausted. And I go to lay down and I can't lay on my back. I go like to try to lay back because I was on my back in the hospital. When I went to lay down, the pain was off the charts. And I was like, oh, well, this really sucks. I have this Birdie Lashes mascara. I want to give it a shot. I have a lot of mascaras open. It doesn't matter, though. I'm not going to use primer because I want to see how it is without. So I survived the very bumpy ride home. Every time she hit a bump, I literally thought I was going to go through the roof. This is this mascara that really funky kind of goes out this way and up. And anyway, this is actually kind of nice. I like it. It did splatter a little bit on my upper lid, but that's because my lashes are so long. Finding a comfortable sleeping position, I mean, I was miserable the entire night. Could not get comfortable whatsoever. Now, they told me that I had to change the bandage the next day. I was like, okay, that's fine. What I realized is that I don't have rubber arms that could reach behind my back and change my bandage. I didn't have anybody that I felt close enough to for them to change my bandage. That was another realization, like, if I had a significant other, if I lived with somebody, whatever, I wouldn't even have to worry about it. You know, 3 days in a row, I had to go to urgent care and pay $30 each time and wait, by the way, and literally have them take the bandage off, put a new bandage on, and that was it. And that was another realization, like, okay, you have been ignoring the fact that this is your new life, and now it's time to actually realize that this is your new life. And oh, what a realization that has been for me. Now again, lots of people live like this. I know, I'm not the only one. This is really, really nice. The skinny end, awesome for your lower lash line. It's not splattering or anything. The only thing I'm noticing about that highlighter, it did add a significant amount of texture to my cheeks, just an FYI. So I can tell you that the next few days were miserable for me. Oh my goodness. This is from IBY Beauty and it is Social. Very pretty color. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Super pretty. Super comfortable. Absolutely love it. So, I mean, so this is the whole look. I'll go over things in a couple of minutes, but so I just want to finish my story. It took me much longer to recover than I expected, and it's not like my doctor wasn't honest with me. It's just with my health issues, things are just a little bit more difficult for me. And again, I know I'm not the only person, and that's okay. But I have been trying to gloss over some of these things and not pay attention to them. But when certain things happen and you come to the realization, it hits you harder than I think I was prepared for. I just wasn't prepared. For me, the moral of the story is, you know, really, really treasure the people in your life, really treasure your family, because in an instant it's gone. And I for one can tell you that it's lonely. It is. The good thing is I've recovered fairly well. Sometimes I still have a little bit of a discomfort at the surgical site, but I'm gonna have no problems. It could come back, but again, it's a benign thing. So even if it does, I have another surgery, it's gonna be fine. So this is the complete look. I love it. It's about 10:30 right now, and I'm actually going to just take this off and go to sleep, but I'm really glad that I got to go over this with you. I will give you updates on some of the products. I do have a basket full of stuff that I want to do, like a favorites and fails types of things, so I'm hoping to be able to get to record that soon and get back into my regular schedule. I've lost quite a bit of subscribers, and that's my fault, because I haven't been here in a lot in the past month and a half. But for those of you who've stuck around, I appreciate you guys so much. You're all amazingly wonderful people. If you guys have gone through surgery and you've had some of the same experiences that I've had, or different experiences, and you want to share them with me, I would really, really appreciate that, because sometimes it's nice to know that you're not alone and that you have a shared experience with somebody, and I don't know, just makes you feel, as I said, just not so alone. Again, I want to thank you guys. I love you so, so much. You just have absolutely no idea. I hope you are all well. I've missed you tremendously, and whatever part of the world you're in or around, I hope you're having an amazing day or an amazing night, depending upon when you're watching this. I'll see you really soon, everybody. Much love. Bye.